Well, shalom everyone. Today we'll have two halachot that are very, very practical. I think halacha 9 is even more practical than this one, but because if you remember last week we said that we can make the ointments on or the compresses already on them and just keep them sterile and then put them on Shabbat. That way we don't have to violate these smaller details of the law. So even when using medicine is permissible, one may not apply topical medication, such as creams or ointments, to a bandage or a wound. If one applies ointment and smooths its surface to spread it, he violates the Torah law as memarach is a todah v'machek. And I was told, by the way, that the difference between cream and ointment is that ointment is oil-based, so it's like a thicker Vaseline kind of, and cream is more liquidy, water-based, and so um, cream will be actually more lenient than ointment because it loses its shape anyway by the fact that water is more conducive to the physics law. I forget what it's called in English. In Hebrew, it's called shiyon kelim, which basically the surface of the water in different utensils evens out to the same level. So it is also forbidden to place the ointment onto the body or the bandage without spreading it, out of concern that one will end up spreading it. Even if the bandage was prepared with ointment before Shabbat, one may not place it on the wound on Shabbat out of concern that they will end up spreading it. So that's what the Shulchan Aruch says, but the Rabbi explains a little bit further. However, to alleviate or prevent pain, the sages allow one to place ointment directly on a wound or bandage, though one who does so must be careful to avoid spreading it. If the ointment was in a tube, he should place the tube directly on the wound. If it is in a container, one may apply the ointment using a tongue depressor or a spoon. The primary concern is that it should not be spread. When the bandage is placed on the wound, the cream will spread out along the sides. Nevertheless, as long as one does not smooth the surface intentionally, this is not prohibited. So that's in the Shmirat Shabbat Kilchata, which is Rav Neuwert's book. It's now in two volumes, and it's with many different annotated by Rav Shlomo Zalman Auerbach, who was his Rebbe. Similarly, if one is in pain, he may place medicated cream on his skin and rub it until it is completely absorbed, and this is because as long as one wants all the cream to be absorbed, it is not considered memerach, and again, the difference between cream and ointment. However, if one wants the part of the cream to remain on the surface of the skin to make it smooth, applying the cream is prohibited by Torah law. Again, quoting Rav Shlomo Zalman Auerbach, if one is suffering from great pain that is weakening their entire body, they are considered a sick person, and then it's Makashel Halal, which means internal wound, and one may treat them with compresses, cloths that were dampened before Shabbat may be used for this purpose. If necessary, one may wet a completely clean cloth on Shabbat to use as a compress, because we're not doing schita, we're not squeezing the water out of it, we're just putting it onto it, and actually it's going to get dirty. So the reason why schita is forbidden is because of libun, which is the like a washing machine, so removing the stains and everything. But here we're actually adding more. Well, we don't call it a stain; we call it like blood or whatever it is on it immediately. And in any case, they must take great care not to wring out the compress, whether in order for the water to reach the sore spot or in order to clean it after use. But again, if you remember, we said that all of these things, because it's based on the Gzerah of Shchikat Zamanim, can be done by a non-Jewish nurse who knows how to do it properly. And so the most common question, I think, is about the band-aids, adhesive bandages, cloth bandages, and treating wounds. So wounds are already in the category of itself of Mkashel Halal, again, like an internal organ. One may use an adhesive bandage to protect a wound or sensitive area from friction caused by clothing or other objects. Even one who is bothered by a mild ailment may do so, since an adhesive bandage does not cure but merely protects. Although one may not affix an adhesive bandage to paper or the like because of the prohibition of tofer. Affixing one to the body is not prohibited because tofer does not apply to the human body. You've never ever heard of somebody sewing something directly into the person's body. Even this is an amazing connection to the Mishkan again, the tabernacle where we learn all of these categories. And there was a special chokhmah, wisdom of the women that they were able to bring in women who might have not been ritually pure to help them with weaving the goat hair. And it says tavu et hayizim, literally they wove the hair of the goats. And Rashi says, based on the Gemara, I believe, that means that they were doing it while the goat was still alive and it was connected to it. So that way, because it's alive, they did not make it impure. And so this is again, we do not do tofer or any of these other melachot directly on the human body. Besides, adhesive bandages are meant to remain on the body for only a short time. I think the maximum now that they suggest is 48 hours, but even that is only if there's a shortage. Lechatchila, one should try not to attach the ends of the adhesive bandage to each other and to avoid using an adhesive bandage to keep a cloth bandage in place. This is because some maintain that these cases are rabbinically prohibited, as sticking one item to another in such a manner resembles tofer. If necessary, one may be lenient and rely on those who maintain that since adhesive bandages are fixed temporarily for a short period of time, one may do so just as one may tie a temporary knot that lasts only a short time, like tying our shoes, if you remember. And last, one may not cut a bandage or adhesive bandage to size, and one who does so violates the Torah prohibition of mechatech, which is usually for skins that were used to write Sefer Torah, etc. If a bandage is too long, one should wrap it around the injury multiple times rather than cutting it. If one knows that they may need to bandage wounds on Shabbat, they should prepare bandages of various sizes before Shabbat. It is also good to prepare methods of fastening them with safety pins or an elastic sleeve, since it is preferable l'chatchila not to use adhesive bandages in order to keep a cloth bandage in place. And one may use a butterfly bandage to hold together the edges of a cut. This is because of two lenient opinions. First, some maintain that there is no prohibition of tofer when it comes to the body. Second, some say that this type of bandage cannot qualify as sewing, since since all it does is hold close the edges of the cut, helping the wound close up on its own because the body heals itself. And in order to stop bleeding, one may use a bandage using a permissible method of tying or hemorrhagic sprays or powders. These measures are not considered medicinal. They simply stop the bleeding. Additionally, one may place iodine on a wound in order to prevent infection. So we're not talking now about a bris, but we all have been, I hope, have been at brises on Shabbos, and the mall does everything exactly like they would do on a regular day, because once they do a cut, that is now very dangerous for this cut to be contaminated and infectious, and so we immediately or infected, sorry, and so we immediately do everything that we have to in order to tighten the bandage properly. I almost fainted when my son was having a circumcision on Shabbat, but that was 25 years ago, and we'll stop here.